This is the 2025 Toyota Supra. It's loud, it's angry, it's rear-wheel drive, and yes, it's technically German. But here's the thing, it might just be the most fun Toyota ever made. But the 2025 Supra doesn't care what you think. It's too busy being brilliant. So today, I'm driving it to see how good it is. The Toyota Supra has had a lot of criticism since it was launched in 2020. A lot of people say it's not a Toyota Supra. Well, it kind of is. At the back, it has a badge that says Supra. At the front, it has another badge that says Toyota. I think the biggest problem for most people is what is under there, because it doesn't actually belong to Toyota. But that's something that happens to a lot of manufacturers. Aston Martin uses a Mercedes-AMG engine. In fact, the Lotus Evora uses a Toyota engine. So we've got a lot of these parts that are swapped across different vehicles. And I get why Toyota did this, and I get why they teamed up with BMW, because what it's done is it's given them time with this car to develop their own in-house Toyota engine for the next generation Supra. And I certainly cannot wait for that. So this is not the last one of this generation. This is a 2025, but next year there'll be a final edition 2026, and I'm hoping I can get my hands on one of those as well. Because you know what? Despite its mixed components, it's still a really fun car. Let's talk about the looks, because the Supra to me looks like it was designed by a committee that never really met in person. These fake vents, for instance, are really annoying. And then the rear end looks a little puckered up in anticipation of what's about to happen. But I think this is a good view of the car, and directly from the front is a good view. And the rest is slightly muddled. But put it all together and look at it as a whole, it's actually a pretty decent looking car, and one that actually looks fast when it's parked outside a coffee shop. So the first clue that it's slightly different underneath is the fact that you pull it twice, BMW style, to lift the enormous hood. So under here is a 3-litre straight-six turbocharged engine, good for 382 horsepower, 368 foot-pounds of torque. And no, we all know it's not a Toyota engine, it's from BMW, but it is an absolute gem of an engine. It's super smooth, super flexible, tons of torque, and it provides this car with a whole lot of fun. In fact, 0 to 60 takes around 3.7 seconds. So any changes for 2025? Not really. This car sort of carries over mostly unchanged. I'm hoping next year's model will have some additional features. The 4-cylinder has been dropped, which I'm kind of glad about. It didn't need a 4-cylinder engine. It's so much better with this straight 6. And of course, you can get this in both an automatic and a manual transmission. So the most irritating thing about the trunk is the fact that it doesn't have any kind of latch here. You got to hold the thing down on the key fob. But the good news is it's a hatchback. So the space in the back is certainly at a premium. It's very narrow because of these big, wide, swollen wheel arches, but it does have a little polisher shelf. You could remove that and maybe put a small dog or medium-sized dog in there. It does have a poke through all the way through to the cabin, which is also a good thing. But yeah, 10.2 cubic feet of space is not a whole lot. Thanks to these really wide haunches, you get a nice little flat spot where you can pop your drink if you need to balance it while you're doing some stuff in the trunk. The standard wheels are these 19 inches. You get 2-piston calipers at the front. You got these Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires, a nice summer tire, 255/35s on the front, 275/35s at the back. So how much is it? There's two trims, a regular 3.0 and this 3.0 Premium. This one starts at $57,385 with $1,135 of destination charge added to that. So this Premium trim gets these power adjustable seats trimmed in either black or, in this case, hazelnut colored leather. And then this Absolute Zero paint also adds the driver assistance package for $1,195. You get a carpeted cargo mat Add it all up, you get around $61,875. So there are some other options because the Mustang GT stands out as being an absolute excellent choice for within this price range. The difference really is this one is a well-trained ninja in a business suit, and the Mustang is a burly lumberjack roaring down the road carrying a chainsaw. You choose which of those you want. Now with the Mustang, of course, you get a glorious V8. Inside you get BMW's excellent tech, which is kind of a blessing and an admission. Everything works properly, the screens are crisp, the seating position is pretty good. You sit really low in the cockpit, but then you spot the Toyota logo on the wheel, and remember, you're not in Bavaria anymore. I did say that things are quite tight in here. You do actually get a wireless charger. You've got this sort of like fake carbon fiber on here. This is obviously from BMW. Good news is you get physical controls. You can also control the touchscreen from this knob. This is going to be your favorite button right here, Sport. Seats are pretty supportive and do a fine job with bolstering to hold you in. Ahead of the driver, you get a digital dash. There's not a whole lot of configuration that can be done, but it works. And then the screen here, it looks a little bit sort of tacked onto the dash, but it works. It's pretty quick. The software works well. It's just tiny. Right, that's the car. Let's take it for a drive. Right, phone secured. Off we go. So I do have my radar detector, and I have to admit that I did get a speeding ticket in an RS3. So I decided to invest in this Uniden R8, which apparently is one of the best ones. Not getting paid to say that. So far, it's been great. So anytime you start hearing some beep beeps, it's going to be the radar band KA and K. And certainly when you're driving cars like this, it's certainly handy to have. It's got a range of up to 2 miles. And typically a radar in a highway patrol, trooper, etc. is going to be max reach of about half a mile. So if you can pick them up before they can get you, then it's worth the investment. I think I paid $740 for that. Hit Sport. Traction control struggling for grip there. Probably because it was fairly cool where I was and my tires are not warm. And also these concrete surfaces are terrible. Alright, so my phone was flying around there. I had to, basically I'm sitting on it right now. That's definitely the downside. And what I could do is put it somewhere in here, but I think it's going to fly around. I'll just put it on the seat for now. So, first thing you got to notice, it is a sports car and it is noisy in sport mode. It's noisy from the engine, which is great. It's got a good sound. Obviously, some of it's piped into the cabin. There's always some cheating going on. But it does aggressive down changes. And then, of course, the tires are noisy and the suspension is hard. Know what you're getting into. Right. Off we go. It's got really good acceleration. Now it does feel, it's a fairly short wheelbase, so it does feel a little twitchy. And I'm going to be happy to warm these tires up a little bit. Changes up at like 6,500 RPM. Well, I can't help myself but floor it. Right, so it should be fairly easy. Oh, BMW or not, it's pretty damn good. Anyway, in the turns, this thing is savage. It really does turn in so well. You just sometimes can't beat a rear wheel drive car. And this one has a lot of precision. Even on these somewhat choppy roads. Absolutely planted in these turns, and an absolute joy to drive. Okay, down this little straight bit, we've got a really tight right-hand turn. It says 25 miles an hour. Let's see here. More like 55. This one's even tighter. Got to be a little careful with this one. Good steering, really is. A little twitch at the back there. This pavement's really quite uneven. And the chassis rear suspension gets a little upset by the odd little mid-corner bump, particularly when you're putting the power down. So, up this little hill here. You got to admit it, BMW makes some absolutely cracking engines. They always have. Well, I drove one of these in 2021 or 2020 when it first came out. I loved it, and then Toyota upped the power, and I loved it even more. Haven't driven one since I think a 2022 model, so I wanted to get my hands on it, and I think next year we'll see what they do to the 2026 and have a last drive. You guys can decide amongst yourselves if you think this is a real Supra or not. So what do we think? Let me say that Toyota's BMW marriage / weird collaboration has kind of worked here. It is a brilliant little car, and I think it works. There are some downsides. Super cramped inside, the view out the back is like looking through a letterbox, and the trunk will carry maybe a medium-sized lunchbox. The question is this a real Supra? I think it is a real Supra, but it isn't a true Supra like the previous generation. So let's hope that Toyota gets a Toyota engine under this car for the next Gen 1. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time with another video.